All right, so we're going to turn it right over, guys, and please, for the next speaker, we'll be talking all about things on the Rotary brand. And joining us from Rotary International is Liz Cham. She is Rotary's brand specialist. She has been with Rotary International since 2008 and even worked for several years supporting our district as our annual giving officer. Liz works throughout the Rotary world to help our members understand and use our visual branding. And I know she's on here, but let's give a warm welcome to Liz Cham.
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much. It's great to be back. I recognize a few names and a few faces. You might have known me as Liz Lazar back then. I was still married, but I just hadn't taken my husband's name yet. So I have since taken his name since I've seen you last. I'm going to share my screen and let's see if when I launch into presentation mode.
I can see it, so.
Now, can you see the notes at the right? Or are you just seeing my main screen that says brand fidelity using Rotary's visual branding?
I see your notes, but I think you see that if you're a co-host. So if you're not a co-host, I don't think you see that.
Okay, great. Okay, great. So thanks for having me today. Thanks so much to Donald for.
I'm sorry. I do see it and I'm not a co-host.
Okay. Then, let's see. I think maybe I can just minimize it all. Is that better?
No.
Looks good.
I don't see the notes.
Okay, great. I don't want you to see the notes. I just want you to see my slide. Great, thank you. Okay. So thanks to Donald for having me here today, for reaching out, asking if I could participate. This is a great opportunity for me to reach out right directly to you because, like I mentioned, or he mentioned in my intro, I really serve the whole world. So having the opportunity to speak to the districts is precious to me. So let's make that time valuable. And the content that I want to share with you today should be pretty basic, but also give you a quick action plan as well too. So that's my goal with our time today. Great. So this first slide it tells a powerful story in many ways. And the take-home message is that our public image, it's not what we think of ourselves. Our public image is what outside of Rotary think of us. And maybe this is what they think of us, maybe it's not. But I'm getting a note that my internet connection's unstable. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, you're doing good, Liz.
Great, thanks. So we want to always be aware of this fact that Rotary isn't what we think of it as, but what others think of us. And so that's why it's essential, comes to our visual branding, that we are all doing the same thing all across the world. That means that interact with Rotary that don't know us will have that shared similar experience. Not only are they going to feel the same because Rotary has that same feeling, but we're going to have the same look and feel. And that's essential to a strong brand that people can trust. And when people trust our brand, it just makes us stronger and it attracts us. So another reason that, several more reasons that it's important to be using our visual branding correctly is that we are actually protecting Rotary's name and intellectual property. I don't want to bore you too much with the details, but there is a whole section in the Rotary Code of Policies, Article 34, that talks about remarks and how we protect them. But what I'm going to share with you today, how we put that into action. Another thing to always keep in mind is that when you are out in the community sharing what you're doing, you should get the recognition that you deserve for that. So ensuring that your clubs are correctly branded instead of just a Rotary wheel drives people to the fact that, oh, maybe there may be even several clubs in my community, right? So it drives them right to you, right to where you are. And again, we're telling Rotary story in a consistent way when we're all using the same visual branding. Of course, in global corporations, they have huge budgets and a corporate structure with franchises where the branding happens consistently. But Rotary isn't structured that way, nor do we want to be, right? We're a volunteer organization of 1.2 million people. But with that comes that responsibility of ensuring that we are using that brand correctly. And so my job really is to help you get to that point. So this is some common feedback that we hear when this subject comes up, because this isn't getting your hands dirty, being people of action and doing the Rotary work, but it's essential. It's just as essential as membership and as our Rotary Foundation that our public image is on point. So as you work with your clubs, identify folks that have a strength in this and assign them to these roles, public image, club public image chair, and there are resources out there for them to make this role effective so that your club has the best public image that they can. As I talk about this subject with folks, I really like to bring up visuals of what our old or our retired logo looks like versus what our contemporary current logo looks like. Sometimes they think that we just maybe updated the wheel, and that is true in a sense. I'll get into that in a little bit. But what we really did is we had a logo that was a wheel and there was blue inside of it, and we updated to the logo on the right. Now the whole thing is a logo, the word Rotary and the wheel, all of it together is a logo. They are not separate pieces. And we call that our master brand signature. So the master brand signature is this one on top here. However, you can also use, and this is just a personal preference, you can use our simplified master brand signature. That's the one on the bottom. The difference is that it is, I suppose, a little cleaner, a little more fresh, a little more modern, and it doesn't have the words Rotary International inside the wheel. Likewise, we have what we call our mark of excellence, which is just the Rotary wheel, and this is a secondary logo. This logo should only be used once we've already identified or used the master brand signature somewhere else. So that is the story between the master brand and the mark of excellence, or our logo and the Rotary wheel, if we want to keep it simple. Here are examples of how clubs and districts and zones should use our logos. So only Rotary International should really use the master brand signature as their, these are your club's official logos. Now that's not to say that you can't use Rotary's logo elsewhere on promotions, obviously, and different instances, but your main logo should look like this, and these should be consistent. So the club name can either go above or below. You'll see I have two examples. The Club of Evanston, and the other one is Sunrise Kampala Rotary Club. So however the name of your club rolls off your tongue, you have the option to lay it out in the logo and say it locally. And then the bottom two are examples of districts and zones. Again, the district number should always be below, the zone number should always be below. You'll notice that I use the simplified, changed with the traditional as well too. That is just a personal preference of yours.
Liz.
Yeah.
I just wanted to jump in here and say every about 10 seconds or so, it cuts out for about 3 seconds and you come back. So.
Oh, bummer. Is there anything that you want me to go back on, or?
I'll just say if folks have a question, post it in the chat box and we'll get it answered by Liz here at the end of her presentation.
Okay. Sorry about that, everyone. I could also try to log off and log back, but happy to keep going. So I took a little bit of time before I came here today to create some club logos for clubs in your district, just to give you an example of what they would look like. And I did, again, the below and then the above and below. And then this next slide shows you what we refer to as logo lockups. So this is when you partner with a local organization, or maybe you sponsor a local event, or you run a local program. All of the instances where you're bringing together your Rotary Club and another organization or another partner or a sponsor or an annual event that you do and you've branded. This is exactly how you should be displaying that. I think the previous speaker spoke a little bit about the brand center. So again, these can all be created in the brand center, and I can show you that today actually if we have time and if my connection's okay. And I also have references that share and show all of this information as well too. So I was just talking about events, right? So the one on the right is the correct way to show an event. The one on the left, like we've all seen this kind of stuff. Your clubs maybe even might engage in this type of artwork. And this actually only just dilutes our brand. So when we're not being consistent and we are just using that wheel because we think it might be cute or unique or funny, which I get, I've been at Rotary for a long time, but what that does is dilute our brand. So the general public isn't sure about what's going on there. Why does this lobster have a wheel in its hand, right? So these are the ways. Now, there's nothing to say that you can't have this lobster graphic just without the wheel in its hands. You can put that over on the right here, locked up with your club name. I'm not saying that it has to be text, but we need to move away from both using the old wheel and also creating logos that have our Rotary logo in it. So here is some action steps that you can take as you are working with your clubs, because I know that this information may seem a bit abstract, but this is like the type of checklist where you're going to want to make sure that your correct Rotary logo is displayed and promoted. So of course your club website. Now I know that you use probably DACDB and Club Runner, and they do have some limitations, but I also took a look at some sites, and there were definitely still a healthy amount of old wheels out there on some of the sites. So do what you can to ensure that you're using templates from DACDB and Club Runner that are up to date, that do allow you to put your club logo in there correctly, and then do your website. Check out all the different pages. Make sure that those old wheels are gone and that you've updated your brand and your look. Social media sites, again, as you are creating these videos or taking shots of things that you're doing in your communities, you know, ensure that the things that you're wearing are on brand and that all the content that you're sharing on your social media is also up to date. Making sure that your banners and your event signage has your new, and when I say new, this changed in 2013, so take that with a grain of salt, but has your updated current branding on it. Signs welcoming to your city. I still haven't yet seen a Rotary wheel there, and many of them are faded. So these are things that maybe we just don't think about too often, but they are things to consider now. And then here's some other things on the list too that you can read for yourself. But let's talk like practicalities of this, because I know that can be a little overwhelming to think about all these things to update. So I'm going to hop down to number 2 here. I want you to make this manageable for the clubs. I don't want I think sometimes they can get a little scared and kind of balk at like, wait, what are you asking me to do and with what money? So take it bit by bit. Update your digital presence now. Digital is virtually free. Go into the brand center, create those club logos, and then replace visuals and replace graphics that are already out there in your digital world. And then for the other stuff, set aside annual budgets that, even over several years until you're able to go through and update the stuff that you've potentially been hanging on to for years that have the old branding on it. You're going to want to ensure that you have named a very aged club public image chair. We have resources for them in our learning center. We have resources for them in our brand center. And also after today, I'll attach a very simple two-sided guide that talks about club logos and how to use them. And I'll follow up with you all today on that. And that is about all I have. So I'm going to stop sharing and take some questions from you.
Thank you, Liz. Folks, do you have any questions? It's interesting, Liz, and you have our agenda, but you talked about a licensed Rotary vendor. They're actually our first speaker right after the break. So
that's great.
Any questions, guys? Liz, are you able to share your contact information if someone has questions maybe they're not wanting to ask today, that something will come up at a later time?
Sure, of course. There's my personal, and then if this is just easier to share, or you can share this with your clubs, it's just my brand inbox.
I know we do have some time, right, George? He's shaking his head yes. Did you want to go into the brand center maybe for a
Sure.
couple minutes?
Definitely.
I would like to say, if you've been in the Rotary Brand Center, post it in the chat box. If you have never been in the Rotary Brand Center, we're gonna, this is something you're gonna want to make sure you know how to get in there.
All right, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Great. So what I'm going to do is back you up one spot, because often that's not fair to show you right in the brand center, right? Like I want to show you the navigation, how to get there from my Rotary. So let's say you're logged into my Rotary. And now there's several ways to get there. You can go to Learning and Reference and click, I'm sorry, that's Learning Center. Go to News and Media and click Brand Center. I think the other one was Take Action as well, and you can click Brand Center. And then this pops you into like a micro site, the Brand Center. For those of you that have a lot of experience in the Brand Center, it's not our best product. And I will let you know that we are currently working on a refresh of the entire platform to make it a lot more user-friendly and easier to navigate, search for things. You won't have to log in anymore, so you can go right, need to go through deep. So just letting you know about that. All right, now that we're in the Brand Center, you'd hover over Materials. Click on Create Your Own. And then this is a page where we have a lot of different assets that you can use to promote your club. So the club brochure is there. This is an administrative view too, so what you're seeing is actually more choices than what you would have when you get in there. But towards the top of the page, you're going to see club logo template. I also had shared with you the lockup logo template. So this is one you would use if you are going to share a partner or show a partner in your logo. But for now, we're just going to do the simple club logo template. From here, you click create. And now this walks you through the steps to create a logo. Assume we have probably all English speaking clubs, but we of course are an international organization, so other languages are there. This is also the place where you can create Rotaract or Interact club logos too. So for now, we're gonna just stay on Rotary. It defaults to normal, but again, we had talked about the simplified wheel, so you could choose that if you'd like. Again, it defaults to a full color logo. These are some other options to use though, if you are creating a logo on like a colored background where you may need, like if it's, actually the black is really only if you're printing things in black and white. So we really just like you to use the full color. In some instances, it makes sense to use actually a white logo if your background is very dark. For now, I'm going to stick with full color. So this is the alignment where you would choose how you say the name of your Rotary Club. So this might be Evanston Rotary Club. So I would have chosen above and below. But I'm going to just go with below. That's the default. Club of Charleston. Also, if you maybe have a long club name, you can break it down here and continue. I'm just, obviously you wouldn't put it like that, but if you had a very, very long club name, you could, I'm just showing that you can break the lines as you need to. And again, and that's all you should put is just the name of your club. You shouldn't really add anything else, you know, 100 years or we're awesome or anything like that. Just the name of your club and your club logo. And then you would click save, and then it prompts through the save process. And then this next page is full of bugs, and this is one of the reasons that we are also updating our brand center. So in this page, you'll see that you do have the option to load the PDF right here, but these are not highlighted yet. And here's directions over here to refresh your browser to continue. So you're gonna come up here and refresh, and now these other options are available for you to download. So depending on what you're going to be placing this logo, you can download a PDF, a JPEG, or a PNG. And from there, it downloads to your computer. Great. Anyone have any questions about that?
Let me check the chat box for you.
Brand Center was discussed in Tuesday's SAC TV. That's great.
And I don't necessarily have a question, but I just want to encourage and reinforce the fact that we use the brand, use it correctly. And if we can use the images that appear in Brand Center, we're using them on a consistent basis, then people get to recognize those. It's all part of the plan from the standpoint of, as opposed to somebody using one image and somebody using another, and our brand gets diluted. So anytime we want to use those, please go to the Brand Center. We don't have Rotary Police, but we do have certain criteria that we want used and how they're to be used. So
thanks,
please.
Paul. I'm going to touch on that as well a little bit too. So the directors of Rotary International took a in April 2019 that they're done seeing that old Rotary wheel, right? They want all the clubs to be adopting this. And again, we're not franchises, so we're looking to the clubs to go in and make these updates. They've set a deadline. Initially, it was for 2022, but with COVID, we pushed that back a little bit. So we have until 2023, which kind of sounds like a far way off, but if you consider everything that I kind of went through today, it'll take you a little bit to get there. So again, go through your digital presence, start with your website, make sure those old wheels are off there, do what I just showed you through that Brand Center, download those, them updated. And then I wanted to mention something else about the Rotary Police. I forgot right now. If I remember, I'll follow up in an email, but I just did want to share that is a formal goal that was communicated by the board.
And I would just echo that too. I did a survey of all of the clubs and went to everybody's website and Facebook pages. And for the most part, everybody's doing a good job, but there's still some themes out there from David Terrard's year, I noticed. So, go David, but we need to get the current theme. We need to get the current logo. We need to get the current information out there. So please look at your website. Your digital media is so easy to do and cheap. It's free. You can't do any, if you have to go replace a sign somewhere, I get that may cost money, but the digital, the social media, all those aspects could be changed very easily.
I remembered what
step down off my soapbox.
Thanks, Paul. No, I'm right up there with you. I remembered I was going to say it, and you could choose to implement this locally too if you'd like, but we at RI are not allowed to produce anything or promote anything that has any old wheels on it. So that is an incentive, I think, to really hit home to the clubs that now is the time to be making these changes. Now, that's not to say that we don't honor and highlight our history, and we absolutely do that. And you'll still see old wheels as we talk about the past of Rotary. That wheel has been through so many different iterations, and we're just at today's iteration. So I know sometimes folks get really upset and a little emotional that, we're leaving the history behind. That's not it at all. It's just keeping up with the times and evolving a brand just like every other brand does. Yes, I agree, Alex. And by the way, hi, Alex. It's been years. Good to see you. I saw Ann Matthews comment earlier too. Hi, Ann. It's great to see you. Thanks so much for this opportunity. I'm happy to take any more questions if anyone has any. I'm happy to be a resource to you as well too going forward. So don't hesitate to reach out.
Liz, I really appreciate you joining us.
Thanks so much. Have a good one.